Welcome, everybody, to the show. Joining me is our intrepid co-host, Dancing Dan, the Dancing Man. There he is, looking all dapper and shit.
Ah, yeah, I took a shower, a bath shower. I can't stand baths, man.
I could take you out back with the hose. I mean,
that would work. That would work.
There you go. That's a good strategy. You got that bathroom situation sorted yet?
Well, we didn't try the toilet, but my worker tried the toilet with water, right? Because it's a special toilet, Ardy. I didn't tell you that.
Special toilet. It's a special socialist toilet or what?
Yeah, well, let me tell you. No, it comes from France, so yeah, it's a socialist toilet.
It's a special French toilet.
We had to cap the water in the toilet, in the whole John, so it wouldn't flood anymore, right? So how are you gonna hang a rat?
You don't want it to flood. That's true.
So how are you gonna hang a rat?
Or I don't know. I don't know. That's my question. I've suggested before a 5-gallon bucket on the back porch.
You gotta buy a special toilet. As soon as you put special, the price goes up tenfold.
Of course.
So we bought the throne, and in back of the throne, it's some sort of Vitamix or a macerator. So when you dump the kids off at the pool, it's gotta macerate it, push it up 25 feet into the main tube because we capped the tube, right? So it ain't going down; it's going up. So all that for $1,500.
Is that just for the toilet, or is that for all the work too?
No, it's just the toilet.
Okay, that's an expense. I don't know what kind of magical Vitamix blender ass toilet you're shitting on.
It's a blender toilet.
I did not know anything about. I never heard of this before. I did not expect us to open the show on this topic. So
it's called
my apologies to everybody.
Saniflow.
Okay, well, I'm sure it sounds messy. It's what it sounds like. So our topic tonight is the golden age and when the golden age of wargaming was. And
the 70s and the 80s.
That's what people say, right? And I'm not convinced they're right about it. First of all, I think the whole golden age, silver age, bronze age model is kind of a lot of bullshit anyway. But wherever it's applied, not just here. But I'm not convinced we're not in a second golden age right now. We've got a whole lot of really good and interesting things coming out. I got something sitting on the shelf.
We're in the platinum age now.
Could be. I wonder. We skipped the electrum age apparently.
And it's funny that you asked that. Is the golden age the same for us as it is in Italy or in France?
Good question. Yeah, I don't know what the wargaming scene, the board wargaming scene was like in Europe. I mean, UK, I have some idea. I mean, then as now, it's dominated by miniatures play, right? But I have no, outside of the UK, I have the vaguest idea what they were doing or working on, or get what games were available. I mean, I know that in France, at least, I want to say Victus started in the 90s, so they've been around for a while. I could be wrong about that, willing to be corrected. Hexasib's been around for a while, but I don't think they've been around for that long. Germany is really just getting started on board wargaming again, right? Because it was looked down upon socially there for a long time, if not actually illegal. I'm not 100% on that, but they had issues. So I don't know what the landscape looks like. I think we need our Italian agents to chime in on this. Unfortunately,
Alan Salazar says something quite interesting. The 70s was a golden age. Now it's the Renaissance.
Hey, could be, right? I mean, the whole idea behind the golden age is that sort of rose-colored glasses thing, where it was always better back in the day, right? Everybody thinks it was better back in the day. I'm not, just in the context of anything. Again, I think that's usually bullshit. But we have, in the context of wargaming, we have I think Renaissance is an appropriate term, right? We have a whole lot of really new and interesting stuff. There's tons of publishers, tons of games coming out every year. We get tons of attention. I mean, hell, I got 6,200, whatever it is, people that follow me on YouTube talking about war games. So if we didn't have some kind of surge in activity, I don't think that would be the case. Now, there's a lot of factors.
How come you got 6,000? I only have 2,000.
I can't answer that.
With these people?
I don't know.
Subscribe, Jesus
I don't know.
Christ.
You should also go and subscribe to Dan. The link to his channel is in the video description.
My toilet.
And all 6 people who are watching right now will do that. So
hell?
I'm just kidding. We got 60 people watching right now. Please remember to thumbs up the video, folks, and
Come
subscribe.
on.
Subscribe. This expensive camera has more trouble with autofocus. Looks better, but the autofocus is less good than the cheap camera was. I may actually be busting out both cameras for a future live stream. Believe it or not.
You know, Andrew Frankie, my boss just told me the same thing.
You swear too much? Well,
Yeah.
at work you might, because are you still working at the retirement community?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's probably a lot of old folks there that don't.
Oh my God, I'm
learning.
I'm learning how to swear from those people. I swear to God.
On that subject, I'm not particularly shy about using profanity, but I do feel like it gets overused and therefore loses a lot of impact. So I do try to use it somewhat sparingly, not always successfully, I have to say. I use more of it here when I'm on the show with you, Dan. There you go. There you go. You need more fiber is what you need. Don't you guys have like fiber you got up there?
Nah, we don't have any fiber.
I guess not. Because all those mushrooms got no fiber in them.
No.
So, yeah, but I mean, I feel like, so Tim Zale says 1987. That's pretty specific, but I mean, I think we're not talking about D&D at this point. You can still get Coke with the real sugar in it, by the way. You just got to buy the Mexican Coke, which is not that hard to find, or the kosher for Passover Coke has real sugar in it as well. Why the high fructose corn syrup is a problem for Passover, I don't know, but there you go. So if you go to any grocery store that has like a big kosher section, they should have the Coke with the Passover Coke.
What? There's no sugar in Coke anymore?
No. They use in regular Coke. No. It's high fructose corn syrup, baby.
Oh,
but in Mexico, and it does taste different. In Mexico, they still use real sugar. So, and in like I said, kosher for Passover Coke. So, I don't really drink much soda anyway. I'll every once in a while have a Diet Mountain Dew, but that's pretty much it. But not too much.
Did you hear we just passed away at 95 years old?
Who's that?
The guy Dick Cheney shot in the face.
Oh, really? No, I did not hear that. I don't remember the guy that shot in the face. Well, at least he survives getting shot in the face by Dick Cheney.
You know that Dick Cheney never.
I got a hell of an anecdote out of it, didn't he? This one time, Dick Cheney shot me in the face. What? And the kids are like, "What? What do you mean?" No, he shot me in the face with a shotgun.
And you know what? He never apologized.
I don't know if he never apologized. I don't know if there was a public apology. I'd have felt bad if I'd have shot shooting buddy in the face. But so, yeah, I mean, we've got, there's so many, there's even new publishers, right? Popping into Wargaming every year. We see like multiple new publishers. The dimension has definitely changed, right? I mean, there's a lot of landscape changes that we see now that weren't with us back in the day. Some of those are because we have the internet, right? We're able to do this and be on YouTube and play games over Vassal and all that stuff. But probably more importantly is that we're able to find other people to play war games other than just going to the hobby store where they sell war games and hanging out and stalking the people looking at the war games, right? That used to be how you found these people. Or a lot of hobby shops actually would have like a bulletin board. You could put a little postcard up or whatever, looking for players for, Panzer Blitz or whatever. We don't need to do that anymore because we have the internet. We've got places like BGG and Consim World and Facebook and all those other places. And as much as I complain about Facebook, which is quite a bit, it's a pretty good place to do networking for war gamers, right? Yeah. There's Brant trying to be funny again.
Hey, do you think
his stand-up career has oddly stalled? Do I think what?
Do you think that all these solo game book things now by Worthington, Mike Lambeau, has changed the landscape?
I don't think we've really seen the effect of that yet, because I think the solo game book thing is a new phenomenon.
Freaking Mike Lambo's got
over
another
the
game
last,
out.
say, 2 years. Mike Lambo releases literally like one of those a month.
It's unbelievable.
So he's cranking them out. So my admiration for his work ethic on his working on this is off through the charts. But we have seen for a long time now, more than 20 years, a proliferation of solitaire games in general, right? The novel thing about the book games is it's a new format, right? It's not a thing that's traditionally in a way to play, to have a war game like experience. You notice how carefully I said that. And it was not to throw shade on the game books. I think it's a cool idea, and I'm happy they're doing it, right? But we've only really been seeing those for maybe 2 years, and I don't think that we have seen all of the ramifications of that phenomenon yet. Maybe it'll die out. Maybe Mike Lambo will start making real games or something. That was throwing shade at Mr. Lambo. So we're not making any margaritas in Dan's blender/toilet. So
I'm telling you, man,
that will not be happening. There will be
no
daiquiris made in
Carl Chrysler,
Dan's Vitamix brand toilet.
I'm telling you, man, $1,500 for that Vitamix.
So this is true, right? A lot of these old fogies who bought not to throw shade on the old fogies, but who will balk at signing up for like Twitter or something like that. They're all apparently they're all on Facebook. A lot of them have no problem with Facebook because like all their family are on Facebook, and I think that might be why. Because for a while it really did feel like everybody was on Facebook. So Brant, of course, knows about this extremely obscure stuff from the 90s, but I seem to recall those vanishing without anybody recalling them. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Another thing that we haven't seen, except in a very limited arena as far as like playtesting is concerned, is games that only exist on Vassal. And I'm a little surprised that we're not leveraging that a little more. Or tabletop simulator.
I didn't know there was only games that existed on Vassal.
I don't know that there's none, but there's very few. I don't think that's an avenue that's being explored, even though it seems very attractive on the face of it, right? Let's say I design a war game and I want people to play it. But then, conventionally I gotta print the thing, right? And that's going to cost me thousands of dollars probably, unless it's a tiny game and I can, do a print on demand or something like that. I'm just a little surprised we don't see that. Now we see plenty of games that just aren't out yet that get played on Vassal because the physical things, somewhere down the line, right? Or don't have any water with me, or tabletop simulator for that matter. So does this make these professional war games, Brant? I'm just curious.
Hey, is Vassal still going to be kept as a category in the CSRs?
No.
Okay.
Wasn't there last year either.
Hey, I'm the guy who just does the show. I don't know.
The problem with that is that I actually think it's a completely legitimate idea to want to recognize. We're going to do CSR talk again here, folks. Dan brought it up. It's his fault. I think it's completely legitimate to say I think we should recognize the people who make really awesome Vassal modules or tabletop simulator modules or whatever it is. The problem is there's no way to police that. There's I don't know when this Vassal module came out. Some of them are on the Vassal site and there's no dates on them. Some of them you can't get from Vassal. You got to get them from Decision or from Limey Yank Games or whatever. I don't know when those got done, right? So there's no way to determine eligibility. There's also, hey, somebody has designed a brand new, like Wilden Flames. Okay, there's an official module, which ADG actually paid people to make, and it's very nice. But then there's a fan created module that has some different stuff in it that the official one does not have. Should we recognize that separately because it was a different person doing it?
Right.
Or it just raises loads and loads and loads of questions. So what I would love to see happen is somebody somewhere, Brant, start at awards to recognize, content creators and digital war games and things like that. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, just the war games themselves. Lord knows we've pulled some hair. Some hairs
Yeah.
were pulled in late 2021 trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
just talking. I mean, Kilroy's just talking because he's on the board. He don't want to do no extra work. And Kilroy?
I mean, Jim, Vassal modules are supposed to be dated too, but a lot of them aren't. So that's just the way it is. Alan Salazar says COVID may have helped the hobby. I think the surge well predates COVID, but certainly COVID helped Vassal. There's no doubt about that. William Aarons, thank you so much. Dan is the visiting court jester. Look at that fine lock and load t-shirt. Dave Heath hasn't sent me a fine lock and load t-shirt. I'm just saying, Dave, what are you doing? I mean, I'll be happy to wear a t-shirt at, like, on the show, gaming conventions, whatever. That's why,
Ardy.
I didn't get a free t-shirt from Compass Games. I actually did get several free t-shirts from Compass Games, but they're all white. And
Yeah,
I
I
tried
know.
wearing a white t-shirt on stream one time, and I looked like the set from Pitch Black. I was unseeable.
And
It
they
just
don't
does
have
not
extra.
work.
They don't have extra large for me. So like I look like those girls on TikTok.
Extra. Don't you wear like a small?
What's the matter with you?
I'm just wondering.
I'm a fat.
Because I got an extra small T-shirt here. I'll be happy to send it to you. Otherwise, I got to give it to my 7-year-old nephew.
For God's sakes.
So, yeah, but I mean, like me on camera wearing white, I did it once. I'm like, oh, this looks terrible. I cannot do this again. Otherwise, the shirts are cool. So sorry, Greg Smith, because I can't wear any of the cool shirts for your games. The Compass Games gave me free with a purchase. But I do have a Compass Games shirt somewhere that I have occasionally worn on stream. But I bought that, and I bought my Multi-Man Publishing shirt. And I think I did get a complimentary GMT shirt, but it wasn't from GMT. The Minister of Toilette.
I'm telling you, man.
Toilette.
There you go. I'm gonna film myself on the toilet and turn it on. It's plugged in. The toilet.
I am unsubscribing if you do that. I'm dead serious. This is the first video I see of Dan, live action video of Dan sitting on the pot. Is the day I unsubscribe and probably leave YouTube and possibly drive off a bridge.
Look, it's an experience, man.
Oh, I bet it's an experience. Yeah. We do not need to have any of that fancy French technology here.
Hey, Victor, what's up?
So, Math Fun and Games talking about the general, which we talked about either last week or the time before. I had a lot of it was very minimal reviews, as I recall, right? There was a lot of, this is what the general was good for, right? But it was also somewhat narrowly focused in that if you weren't into one of the games that was featured in the issue had nothing for you. So at least as far as articles goes, unless you bought it for the ads or the classifieds, which is possible. In this sense, the general is a little more similar to C3I, to give a contemporary example, than it is to something like Against the Odds. So I am very sympathetic to Jeff Beeler's position here that says the golden age corresponds to the lifetime of SPI. Certainly, it's very difficult to look back on it or see it at the time and not feel like a lot of gas left the hobby when SPI got absorbed by TSR. And that was a complicated situation. TSR didn't just buy them. There was I don't feel qualified to comment on that or relate the story without first verifying that I'm not going to say something stupid. So we're not going to talk about that. But the long and the short of it is SPI went away. TSR took over. S&T stayed with TSR for something like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then S&T passed to 3W, which eventually got sold off in pieces parts, but S&T went to Decision Games. Other parts of 3W went to Excalibur, and I believe other parts of C3I probably either went back to the designers or into the void.
Did SPI outlive Avalon Hill?
No, definitely not. So think about Avalon Hill was founded as the Avalon Game Company in 1954 and was around until, I mean, it's theoretically still around, but it's just a label on the box now. And it has been since 1998 when they got bought by Hasbro. So Avalon Hill was around for, not too far from 50 years. SPI was around for maybe 14.
And and what I mean to say is that was Avalon Hill out and SPI was still happening?
When Avalon, so no. SPI gets absorbed by TSR in very early 1982. Avalon Hill sells out to Hasbro for peanuts in 1998, as I recall. Might have been 97, but I believe it was 98.
Look at Will GM for food.
I disagree with this, actually.
I
mean, you might. It's easy to see where this is coming from, though,
Come
right?
on, Will.
Because other than the stuff that Hasbro has kept around, like Diplomacy and Acquire and a very few other things, the games continue, or at least some of the games continue through MMP, right? ASL continues through MMP. Great Campaigns, the American Civil War, and Panzer Blitz continue through MMP. So it's easy to see this. But at the same time, I think if you look at Avalon Hill holistically and you look at the total output over the life of the company, especially in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you really see I hate to use the word in this context, but diverse types of games, right? They did a lot of different kinds of games, and so a lot of them were war games, but not necessarily even a majority, depending on what year you're talking about. And really the only company that is doing a similar, but not identical, obviously, mix of stuff like that now is GMT. GMT does traditional hex encounter, groggy war games, but they also do a lot of war game adjacent type games, and they do stuff like, I know it got taken off the calendar, but I'm going to keep making fun of Mystery Wizard.
Well, look what Will GM for Food says. It says it was created, MMP was created as the successor to Avalon Hill, was it?
It was created as a third-party publisher for advanced squad leader material. So,
which is Avalon Hill.
Well, right, but that's only one thing that, I realize it was really big, but it's only one thing that Avalon Hill did. And that only in the last 10 years or so of their life, too. So ASL came out in 87. That sounds approximately, it might have been 86, might even have been 85. But 87 is the year I have in my head, right? And several years later, MMP was one of a number of groups that was doing third-party material. And frankly, they were doing, good third-party material, which was not the case everywhere. And they managed to get the license, probably in part because they had money in the back, where somebody like Critical Hit doesn't. So that may have been just as big a factor as that. But I see the sense in which you could say that MMP is the successor to Avalon Hill. But I think if you look at the games they make, I think the closer analog is GMT nowadays. Now, Jeff says that MMP is the successor to GDW. And this I'd have to think a little harder about. Recognize that GDW, that for their entire existence, did war games. Okay, right to the very end, which was about 92 or 93. It doesn't sound right. 95, 96, something like that. I'd have to look those dates up. They did war games pretty much right to the end, but their output was increasingly dominated by role-playing material as we got further into the 80s. By the 90s, war games were kind of a side thing for them. And MMP is of the major publishers hanging around now, and I can define major publishers in a completely subjective way. Then MMP is probably the company that has stuck the most closely to the traditional war game format, right?
Yeah.
Their stuff is every once in a while they'll do an area movement game or a point-to-point game, but overwhelmingly their output is hex encounter stuff, fairly groggy stuff. SCS is not fairly groggy, but it's hex encounter. It's like, it's like grog light, right? So
I would say it's a continuation of GDW, man. MMP.
I've just refuted that.
There you go.
So, we're still. This is Roger Hemseth. This is still happening, right? Was there ever a game people had to wait 5 to 10 years to get published?
Yeah. Look at the P500 for God's
Oh, I
sake.
got to think about that. I mean, I think so. I mean, if you look at Bull Run, for example, from Avalon Hill, that thing sat on the shelf for quite some years, at least 5-10 years before it actually got published. And I think there's probably other examples as well. I think the more memorable examples are those games that never came out, right? Like the talked about but never executed naval fourth volume in the Third World War series, which I think just never came out because they never managed to get it to work for obvious reasons. I've been seeing this with the whole Chinese balloon thing. This has been in the news. It's turned into a meme now. The Richard Berg game is actually about the Japanese attack balloons that were actually used and did cause a small number of fatalities. Apparently, one blew up in the woods near a picnicking family that was all killed.
You're talking World War II, right?
Yes, I am talking World War II. I think there's probably some truth to this. Keep in mind, GDW did miniatures games too, right? Command Decision, Striker. Those weren't the only ones either. So it wasn't like they never touched miniatures. I was never really into historical miniatures except to admire them, the scenery and the painting and all that stuff from time to time. So I did not have good visibility on anybody's historical miniatures. Boy, the folks the guy that ran Steve out of Metagaming might disagree with that, but maybe this is true. Maybe this is true. Maybe.
Hey, what's Jeff Beeler saying? Was there a proposal for a future World of War magazine?
Yes. So this is well, hold on. Let me explain, because I actually had asked Jeff to send me the link to this. So every once in a while, Decision Games will do a survey of games people want to see. And they're like, these are the proposals for games that have been submitted to us. And this time around, they did a survey, which is open, and I put my votes in. That is specific to World at War magazine. So what do you want to see in World at War magazine over the next couple of years? And there was like a bunch of different categories. There was like a West Front category and an East Front category and an other category, and which was all Tai Bamba games, because it was all weird alternate history stuff. And there might have been another category too. So you could you don't like rank your choices, but you like pick your 3 picks. So I managed to get, all the Goss games voted for. So there was that. And I actually think it's kind of exciting if they want to bring back the Victory in the West system. I think that's actually a really neat idea. There were balloons in the U.S. Civil War. They didn't really accomplish much, however. I'll be honest. I haven't bought anything. I was a religiously faithful Steve Jackson Games customer for a long time, and then they really stopped doing role playing games. So I'm just not. I don't like Munchkin. Not into it.
That's the GURPS, eh?
That's got nothing to do with GURPS. It's a very light D&D-esque funny game that a lot of people like very much, and I have tried it. I did not like it. And
you're talking about Munchkins.
I'm talking about Munchkin, yeah.
Ah, okay.
It's super popular.
But how often can you be sarcastic and stupid and redundant in the Munchkin?
I mean, the game helps you. There's a lot of supplements and stuff for it, so you can never have to see the same stuff again if you don't want to. This is a good point. So what metagaming was known for? Not every single game that they did fit this format, right? But what they did a lot of, and what they were known for, were those pocket games, right? And a lot of really memorable games like Ogre first came out in that type of format, whether they were from metagaming or not. But metagaming was definitely like leading the charge on that. Some of those were straight up historical war games. Stalin's Tanks, for example. Hitler's War originally came out. Oh,
yes, Stalin's Tanks.
If we have a successor to that now, then I think it is either in the Decision Games minis or maybe Tiny Battle Publishing. Which those games aren't that tiny, to be honest. But the Decision Games minis are pretty small. Yes?
Sorry, Ardy.
Go ahead.
Will GM for food. You're running a classic Car Wars in a couple of weeks at Dundrakon. Send me the info. I'll put it on the audience here, man.
There you go. Dundrakon, as I recall, is in California. And Classic
California.
Car Wars is a lot of fun. I still have, it's not the original, but I have a later version of Classic Car Wars, which I haven't played in at least 25 years, by the way. But I was a big GURP, so that was what I was buying from Steve Jackson Games.
Yeah, that's what I meant before.
So this is he does a lot of live streaming though that may not be getting picked up where you're looking. So bear that in mind. I'm running into the same problems over here. There's like a Munchkin Pathfinder, for example, which I find absolutely baffling. But if people are playing it, who cares? Yeah, there's a lot of really, really top flight GURP source books, and they just don't support that anymore. There's occasionally they'll release a PDF, like a short PDF, but I want to say Car Wars was Steve Jackson Games, actually. I mean, it was Steve Jackson.
Look, Car Wars, and Apocalypse Road.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say what's better because what's better is subjective, but did Car Wars age well?
So there is a new edition of Car Wars that comes with plastic car models and all the gizmos and stuff that you'd expect from a modern game. I haven't played that. I think that if one was redesigning Car Wars now, I think it feels a little mechanically heavy, but I don't think it's off the hook either. The one of the issues that came up though was they did tons and tons and tons of supplements. So there's a supplement to add motorcycles. Here's a supplement to add boats. Here's a supplement to add helicopters,
which is fun. Yeah,
but the basic game is not particularly complicated. So I actually do think the Classic Car Wars holds up pretty well. So is the Car Wars Classic we're talking about a new or current product from Steve Jackson Games? Because I want to say that it is.
So how come nobody's playing Apocalypse Road, man?
As usually, Jim agrees with me. I don't know that nobody's playing Apocalypse Road. Isn't there a supplement for it too?
No, it's just a standalone game. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be interviewing. I'm going to be interviewing Jim Horger,
right?
Wednesday. So I'm going to be asking him that question.
Good for you. Bear in mind, it's a relatively recent release. I do think that the timing on Apocalypse Road was pretty unfortunate, right? Because it sort of should have come out right when Mad Max Fury Road was really hot. And it would have sold a lot better. And instead it got, where exactly, I don't know. It got bottlenecked at GMT. It came out like last year. And I think a lot of the interest that would have been seen had it come out 3 years earlier evaporated by then. So I think that's just, market forces outside of everybody's control. That's completely hypothetical. But I wouldn't be shocked if thanks,
I was
right about it.
It's Jeff. Yes,
we've already covered this, Brant. Thank you for your contribution. Yeah. I mean, so this is Jeff's post-apocalyptic racing game, right? So, this is, I don't care what it says on BGG, frankly. It may have actually released in 2020. I don't know, but I do believe it released too late to capitalize on the popularity of Mad Max Fury Road, which is terrific, by the way, if you haven't seen it. I have not played Car Wars since long before Gaslands was a thing, so. And I played Ogre once around the same time, so that's been a long time as well. And of course, that's another one they brought out recently again with very lavish production value. Same thing with Triplanetary, actually. Triplanetary is quite a bit less lavish. God damn this thing!
You mean they reissued Triplanetary again?
Yeah.
Like when?
It was a few years ago. They did.
Okay, I've got it.
Yeah, there you go. Brilliant Mark Miller game. And I believe it's a fairly faithful rendition of the original as well. Well, I mean, it's much nicer, obviously, but I mean, the original one came in a friggin' tube. So, with, I believe, a grease pencil, no less.
Yeah.
We had a great Car Wars game played with Steve at a Gen Con back in the very early 90s. This would have been like 91, 92, no later than 93. And it was with Matchbox cars on this big, like 4x4 foot model arena. It was great. So,
and how is
this
Steve
is
Jackson?
this is the conceit, though, is it's the gas that's the precious commodity.
How was Steve Ardy? How was Steve Jackson as a person? Nice guy.
I mean, I had nothing but positive interaction with Steve personally, but that's been pretty limited too. He has been at Origins in recent years, but they were not there last year or the year before. So I don't know if that's a long-term plan or a COVID holdover or what. So I'd like to see him come back, but if they don't, they don't. I was considering, I was thinking about buying that fantasy trip thing, and then they weren't there, thereby saving me $200. So thank you, Steve. I never played the fantasy trip. I'll be honest, at this point, I feel like it's kind of a novelty piece. I think as an RPG, I think it suffers from a kind of lousy format, right? Where it's kind of broken up over 3 separate products. And I know they all come in the same box. But I think that's an inconvenient way to present an RPG. And I understand that is how it was done back in the day. And it was a bad way to do it back then too. But nobody knew any better, so nobody noticed. Mechanically, it's a perfectly good system. I mean, if you look at the mechanics, it's just presented weirdly by modern standards. Not last year. They weren't. There was not there might have been 1 or 2 pieces, but no more than that at the Atlas Games booth. They have had, they piggyback with Atlas Games. I understand that, but and they have done that for many years. But there was also a decent sized Steve Jackson Games section up until the COVID break, right? So William Aaron says that he started to collect games to teach his grandson history, area control strategic games such as Victory and Glory. Jim loves that game. He's a big fan of having the Prussians in purple, as you know. It's a pretty game. I believe there's a video game version of it as well.
And so, William, your grandson, how did he fare? Did he pick up on this? Is he continuing? Because that's pretty cool.
So I was a huge Ars Magica fan back really since Lion Rampant, but it was one of those games that was like, man, I can't talk anybody into playing this. So sometime around the 3rd edition, which was the White Wolf edition, I unloaded it all and then bought it all back again, sat on it, unloaded it all. And then finally managed to sell a group on it, and they loved it. And that was at the very tail end of Ars Magica 4th edition, and we actually were playtesters for the 5th edition, and all our names were in the books and all that stuff. And that whole period of 4th and 5th edition was Atlas Games, and they still have the material. You can get it in PDF, but I believe very little of it is in print anymore, and they do not bother bringing it to Origins. Unknown Armies is a really neat game. It's a very clever. It's got a lot of clever mechanics in it. It's got a really intriguing setting. That said, I have not looked at the new edition of it, which isn't that new anymore. It's probably been out for 10 years.
Ardy, what's TFT?
The Fantasy Trip.
Oh,
which is also a pretty goofy title for a fantasy RPG, if you ask me. But you're taking a trip to a fantasy place. I guess. That was the thinking at the time. I think it lacks cachet. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I mean, this is true. I mean, why do they want to publish GURPS when they can just sell a bazillion copies of Munchkin every year? I mean, I can't really blame them, can I?
No, Jeff, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, he's investing that money in cryogenic research. So
that's hilarious. I don't know why you say that, but for some reason, I don't know.
Steve's a big proponent of having yourself frozen for future medical science to revive.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A little nutty, if you ask me. But
well, look, I can't put that.
It's a free country.
It might work. It
might work. It might not. You might get freezer burn. What can I say?
Oh my God! Then you smell like everything else in the freezer.
Yeah. Why does he smell like onions? That is fantastic. Atlas was one of the very first publishers to like initially release, like at that first Gen Con. They were one of the only publishers to have material out for 3rd edition D&D. Them and Green Ronin, and there might have been one other one. So they jumped on that right away. Some of the material was very good. Some of Green Ronin's material was very good. Some of it was less good, but they were cranking out adventures when people really wanted adventures, right? And that was like one adventure from Wizards of the Coast, which of course was, all part of Wizards of the Coast plans. Let other people do the adventures that don't make any money. And we'll do an unending array of rules expansions that everybody will then be compelled to buy.
Yeah,
yeah, maybe that too. I don't know anything about that. Yes, just exactly that. So I don't know if Steve's still into this or not, but
I love that movie.
This is a very interesting product. So this was part of a whole line of products from Judges Guild. Okay. City State of the Invincible Overlord is a neat, it's like this huge fantasy city, very fully detailed for its time, and even now it's got a lot of detail. And there have been various revivals of this, but this was only like a piece of the puzzle, right? They had like a whole range of additional areas and zones and Wilderlands of high fantasy, which got redone by Necromancer Games in the 3rd edition 3.5 era, and they did a really nice job of it. That's a really remarkable product, in my opinion. Tonally, it does not sync well for me, but it's a really remarkable product. It's this like enormous hex map, and then you get like this massive stack of booklets with it that tell you what's in every hex. So it's really pretty neat. City State was revived by Mayfair, but that was an edition that, as far as I could tell, nobody liked.
Did you say tonally?
Tonally.
You said tonally?
Tonally.
Well, that's very musical of you, Ardy.
I totally said tonally.
You my heart.
Yes. So Mayfair tried to redo it in a series of sort of fancy box sets, and they fell a little flat. The remakes that people have a fairly high opinion of are the ones from Necromancer Games. Those were actually quite good, I thought. This is true. I don't know that the same people were running Judges Guild by that point. I could be wrong. I know that they're not the same people now. Let me put it that way. So, and of course, Judges Guild did a lot of stuff for Traveler as well. And I've got a lot of it, and a lot of it is of excruciatingly low quality. So, but they did a fair amount of good material too for across the whole product line.
My wife just brought me a beer and a chocolate.
Oh, look at that. How about that? I hear yeah, so I mean, RuneQuest was one of the things that soured me on D&D too, but by then it was RuneQuest 3rd edition from Avalon Hill rather than Chaosium RuneQuest. And so I got to see things like Griffin Mountain through the Avalon Hill version, Griffin Island. And I got to tell you, Griffin Island is still pretty good. It's just very different and not as good as Griffin Mountain. This was basically what I found. I had a couple of people pass through a couple of those pieces passed through my hands at one point. Yeah, I was a big GURPS. This was during the period when I was a big GURPS fan. I was getting the magazine at this time, which had a whole expose on it. So I'm not sure why you think I don't remember that. And it was the Secret Service. It was not the FBI.
Ardy, why the big GURPS thing? Wasn't there other RPGs happening?
Of course, there's always other RPGs happening. There have been other RPGs happening since 1975.
So why did you hook in on GURPS?
Partially because I liked some of the things that it was doing mechanically. You can notionally use it to do anything you want. In practice, it doesn't work really well for absolutely everything. But for like a lot of contemporary type stuff that I might not want to go buy an RPG for spies in the 1940s for, I could just use GURPS very easily. And chances are pretty good there's a source book for it. So I don't have to do a lot of legwork. And their line of source books was generally of extremely high quality. There were some co-authors on Griffin Mountain as well, at least one co-author. But Janelle Jaquays did write both versions, actually. Both Griffin Mountain and Griffin Island, that is. I liked the GURPS Conan books, but I gotta say I like the Modifius Conan better as a game system. But I actually also like the stuff Mongoose. Was it Mongoose? Maybe
Mongoose is Traveler,
Maybe.
isn't it?
Mongoose Public. Well, they've been around for a long time. Mongoose has been around since at least 2000, maybe earlier than that, and they've done a lot of different stuff. They did a lot of D&D and D20 material. They picked up RuneQuest at one point. And then they split that off in an OGL version of their own, which I think I called Legacy the other night, and it's actually called Legend. Then they picked up a license for Traveler. So Steve Jackson Games had Traveler for a while too, and they were doing GURPS Traveler, which I did not feel like GURPS was a good setting system to setting match for Traveler. But
so that's what Jeff Beeler is saying, the massive amount of licensing source books. So they just licensed everything. Traveler, Star Wars, Babylon.
They didn't
5.
do Star Wars. That was too expensive.
I'm just saying.
They did license a lot of stuff. They licensed Discworld from Terry Pratchett and Krishna from Elsbreg to Camp and
that's
Conan
cool. That's
and
cool,
a lot of other stuff. Horse Clans was a very early product. They licensed a lot of stuff. They did a lot of like source books on historical eras, the Old West, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, Age of Napoleon,
oh man,
World
it's
War II.
massive.
Yeah, I mean, there were hundreds of these books, right? We have already mentioned GURPS Traveler. Thank you very much. I have a complete collection, including all of the deck plans and cardboard stand-ups.
And before the interweb, there were all these books out. So someone could have bought all these books, and now they have like 10,000 books.
So I got rid of a lot of my GURPS. I kept the core rules and a few supplements, like maybe 6 supplements. And the GURPS Traveler stuff. I didn't, for obvious reasons, I didn't get rid of any of that. Transhuman Space was like a more up-to-date, if you will, science fiction setting that was done for GURPS, and it's actually quite a nice setting.
What's Brant saying?
GURPS Girl Genius, which they licensed from Phil Foglio. That's a comic written by and drawn by Phil Foglio. Riverworld. Yeah, that's true. World of Darkness. That license didn't last long. There was friction.
Will GM for Food is saying something to Brant. He's saying if you like the series, just watch out.
Yeah, I believe he means the Girl Genius comic book series. So Jeff Bayless says Golden Age starts with Panzerleader and ends with victory in the West Sicily and Third World War. So Sicily comes out quite a bit before. So Victory in the West Sicily Race to Messina is a 1981 game, I believe. And by the time I want to say Battle for Germany, which is the first Third World War game, was 83, 84. I might be mistiming that. It might have been later than that. So I'm going to look that up because now I need to know. We will, by the way, be playing Third World War in the fancy new 1984 was the first one, Battle for Germany. We will be playing that at Origins this year. So come by the Armchair Dragoons / Wargaming area, which is called the Armchair Dragoons area until it's time to print the books. At which point they rename it the Wargames area.
You guys rented a spot?
We're with the Armchair Dragoons, who runs the Wargame area at Origins.
And so they rented the Wargame area at Origins?
They run the Wargame area at Origins.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is they have to pay money.
If you are asking if the Armchair Dragoons, out of their vast stash of wealth, paid for table space at Origins, the answer is no.
Okay,
Origins gives them a certain allocation. As like an organization, they get a certain amount of table space, and we're taking it.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Thank you, Ardy. You're the best.
I'm pretty good. So the title, to clarify, what Meandering Mike is saying here. When most people, when they hear Battle for Germany, will think of the SPI title. The title on the GDW 1984 product is actually the Third World War Battle for Germany. Everybody who played that series called it Battle for Germany, though, to distinguish it from the other volumes in the Third World War series, in my experience. So, and it was a great series back in the day. It's got really good mechanics. It's pretty easy to play. It plays pretty quickly. We intend to get through basically the whole thing. We're probably not going to play all 4 games. We'll probably leave the Middle East off. But we'll probably get through the whole thing in Origins in 6 sessions.
When's Origins happening, Ardy?
June. Hold on. OriginsGameFair.com, folks. You too can look it up yourself. Have they updated the web page? Looks like they have June 21st through the 25th this year. They have actually updated the web page, shockingly.
And how far am I from Gen Con, or what do you call Origins?
Columbus, Ohio. So I don't know. If you were to drive, I'd say it's probably 8-9 hours. I'm guessing, but it's probably 8-9 hours.
God,
that's drivable. It's hard. It's a tough drive if you're by yourself, frankly. I gotta say, I should have just let Bran answer the question instead of looking it up. So yes, he is right. It is in the event and game room, not the exhibit hall, but they're the same big room in recent years. So I'm not sure. It depends on the year as to how you could tell the difference. The best hotel, regardless of price, is the Hyatt Regency downtown Columbus. I'm not sure you'll be able to get rooms at this point.
How many people?
If you can't get in the Hyatt, check the Drury Inn or the Hampton Inn right across the street. How many people go? Like immediately pre-COVID, it was like 20,000 or something like that. It's a lot of people.
20,000? I'm gonna puke.
So I'm afraid this series, which I saw with Vietnam Rumor of War. So bear in mind, I'm not a big fan of this topic, right? The Cold War Gone Hot topic. I do have a lot of games on that topic, and we are going to play another one this year. And we played one last year. NATO Cold War Goes Hot and it was great. It was a great experience. So this is not my favorite topic, but it's not like a topic I avoid either, right? This series, which I encountered in Vietnam Rumor of War, did not seem to work for me. So I unloaded it. So I will say that the maps are really pretty. The maps in the Doomsday Project games are also really pretty. And if you put it all together with the Balkans project, it's also all really pretty and quite large. So kudos for, some impressive looking games, but I did not have a positive vibe from the game system. Let me put it that way.
Brent, if I come down to Origins and Carl comes down, can we have a special pipe smoking room?
There is no smoking anywhere indoors in Columbus, Ohio. Period.
Jesus.
Amundo. And that has been the case since well before that was the case throughout the rest of Ohio.
Like, you're not talking privately now.
You smoke in your house, but
okay.
there is no smoking rooms in the hotels either. Now there's a smoking area outside, and that's usually not a problem. And nobody's going to yell at you outside. You might get dirty looks because you're a dirty polluter, but other than that, nobody's going to come and arrest you. You can sit at the feet of the giant bronze statue of Arnold Schwarzenegger and smoke your pipe.
Yeah,
not even kidding. So pretty much, yeah. There's an open area. There's a couple places actually. There's one over the second floor of the Hyatt, and then there's one out in front of the convention center. Expect if you smoke in your hotel room, expect the hotel to hit you big time.
Look at that. Look, math fun and games. He's getting bored.
He's getting bored. Are we not lively enough around here? I feel like we're pretty lively. I don't know.
Man.
This should be.
You want me to take off my t-shirt, man?
Is the acme of wargaming entertainment right here. We
What's the
are
matter with you?
we are giving you the maximum amount of bullshit that the planet can environmentally sustain here
You're
on
lucky I
the
don't know where you live.
well, that's why he's got that name. So I've actually subscribed to Math Fun and Games for his Math Fun and Games videos back when he was doing that on my like not Wargaming channel. And after like just like last week, I actually said, you know, he's been doing like 5 Panzerblitz videos a day. I better unsubscribe from him over here and subscribe to him on the Wargaming channel so I don't miss this valuable Panzerblitz content.
You know what I'm saying?
So
what's the matter,
Mr. Math or Mr. Games, right? Tune was pretty neat. I wish I was wired. I have had a not awesome 2023. Let me put it that way. 2023 has, in the context of like gaming, 2023 is going well. In the context of everything else, it could be going better. So we'll talk about it on Monday's show. So am I going to be there for Mondays? Yes, we'll be there Monday's show. No problem.
You know, I was telling Ardy, like, isn't he tired? He's doing all these shows. He goes to work. Actually, he's a human being. He goes to bed. Then he gets up. He goes to work. And then there's a show every night. And some nights he does 2 shows. What's the matter with the guy?
I did do 2 shows on Sunday. I booked 3 shows on Sunday, but 2 of them were at the same time. So I had to move one of them. So that show's been rescheduled to Friday. That is the interview with Justin Facino, designer of Seljuk, upcoming Levian campaign game from our good friends at GMT Games. So
Vince,
we have an aggressive schedule. Wait till you see March. All I'm saying is I got something coming in March that if it happens, it's going to be super exciting.
Vince Ree, I'm going to make
nothing to do with OCS.
Well, you give me a chance to speak, for God's sake.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I'm saying I'm going to take a video of what's happening in my bathroom and show you the Vitamix blender.
Well, you could do that in 2 weeks because I'm not going to get demonetized for showing a whirling shit tornado in Dan's Canadian bathroom. Oh, seriously? Did I not know about this? I think I did know about this actually. Giant size full table Panzerblitz miniatures game all weekend at Origins. That if I wasn't going to get miniatures cooties by touching the miniatures, I would say that this sounds awesome. It does still sound awesome.
Am I going to get con crud?
I got con crud at Compass Expo. So you know it happens. It was con COVID crud too.
What happens if I wear my CPAP in my back with a battery?
You can wear them. You are free to wear a mask if you want.
Is that going to help my con crud?
It might help keep you from getting con crud. I didn't walk away from Origins with con crud, and we wore masks most of the time. I was pretty lazy about it personally, but when I was walking around, I would wear the mask. I appreciate the initiative of people that can get up at 4 a.m. I normally get up at 6, 5 on Wednesdays for reasons that.
Yeah, you guys are crazy, man. Life is to live. Live it.
There you go. There you go. You're gonna get fined by the National Bureau of Language Purity.
Yeah.
Old Lady Plays makes content from 2 to 4 a.m. I used to stay up. I used to be better at staying up late, but frankly, I am trying to get more sleep, not entirely successfully. Let me put it that way.
You know, Brent, the CPAP mask. I swear to God, if I can fix it up, I look like
I am not wearing that thing.
I swear to God, I would do it.
I am not wearing that thing until I can get it with the Darth Vader sound effects. Okay, then we'll talk.
It's great.
You could totally go as who was the guy from Immortan Joe from Mad Max Fury Road. You could totally get away with that. So I have done this. I'm not good at this. I am naturally at my most, at least for a long time, I was naturally at my most alert and productive consistently between about 11 p.m. and 3 a.m.
You know, Old Lady Plays, that's fantastic. I agree.
Great. I don't think I can do it anymore. There you go.
Now I will permit you to die.
That's about the sound quality you guys got from that movie, too, by the way. So, all right, folks, we are out of time. I
was having so much fun.
I'm having a fabulous time as well, but we got to go. I got to go put on my 25-hour print job on the printer I will see when I get home tomorrow at midnight. So anyway, folks, thanks very much for coming by. We appreciate it. Next week, the show will be on Dan's channel, and I will not be there. So he's going to get some very illustrious guests who will be chosen from the dwindling pool of people who Dan has not yet alienated. And the following week will also be on Dan's channel because I will be tuning in live from Winterfest, where I will bring you live convention coverage on whatever that Tuesday is. All right, folks. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you again soon.